How you doing, everybody? Randy Richard in the shop. Back on the cement mixer restoration. So we're still effecting, of course, repairs on it. But I want to show you a new tool that I received, and it's a little bit of an alternative to a collet block, but it has probably more uses than that, really, than a collet block. I want to show it to you, but first I'll explain what I need to do. So you see this pin that I made right here, and it's a 1 inch. This is a 1 inch diameter and 1 inch 8 thread, and it has a square end on it. And I showed that with my making the fixture plate. I used it as a referencing pin. I screwed it in the hole and then referenced against it for all the other holes. Well, I want to have two of those pins right there. Now that fell on the floor. These are made from a W1 tool steel, drill rod, and I made another one here, and I just want to put a square end on it, and that's so I can get it in and out and make it tight against the shoulder of the plate. That way I can set up a fence on the plate and things like that. These are basically, they're 1.000 diameters. They're both the same. They're right on the money. That's the nice thing about using drill rod. It's an accurate ground material. So I want to put a square on that. So what fell on the floor was a 1 inch collet. Now I could put this in a collet block. This is a 1 inch collet. Now if it was bigger than this, you're limited usually on the depth of how far something will go into the collet. So this is pretty much the maximum of 5C collet. And that can go in there. You can hold that. Here's a square collet block. Slip, have it in this collet block. Just throw that in your vise, and you can just flip this block around. Boom, 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 and do your square. You can also use a hex collet block like this if you want to do a hex, and just roll it around in your vise. But like I said, if it was good on a 5C collet, if it's going to be bigger than an inch, it's only going to go in there about an inch. So you can't pass it through like this piece here. You can pass right on through, right? So you can have a long piece. And of course, if the thing's smaller than an inch, you can pass on through and have it long. So this is a short one though, this short piece. So this I could do with a collet block. But this shaft here, now this is what has to do with the cement mixer. This is the jack shaft that the motor is driving one end of this, and then this has another pulley, goes to the pulley to spin the drum, to drive the drum. This is a 3/4 shaft. It's, I didn't measure it. It's about 20 inches long. Well, there's no keyways in this. And the pulleys have keyways, but they just had a set screw, and then you can see the marks here where it spun at one time. The shaft's in good shape. It's straight. It's clean, and so I'm just going to reuse it. But they really should have keyways in it to lock those pulleys on. Well, I'm gonna put 2 3/16 keyways in. This one will be about 2 inches long, and this is going to be about 3 1/4 inches long. And I want to either clock them so that they're the same, or maybe put them 180 degrees. I'm probably going to just clock them so that they're in line with one another. But now I can put that in a collet block because it will pass through. But this is kind of a demonstration too of the new tool I want to show you. So the new tool. Is right here. Now this is a small version of the new tool, right there. Now we'll get a closer shot of it, and so you can see it. And what it has is around this side here, it's square, right? That's what that profile you see here. But then there's two more profiles. These are both. This is a hex right here, and then this is the next other profile is an octagon. So that's 8 sides. And what this does is it just will slip on your work like this. Now it has a really nice set screw, a brass pointed set screw, and you can just lock that on there with an Allen wrench a little bit, so it's snug. But what that allows you to do is I can put this in the mill vise real easily. Just clamp it up in the mill vise, have this end out, or this end in the vise actually up high enough, but or have it stick out, and I can mill that. Now, for me to clock this is sticking out of the vise, a foot, and I just can't take this and flip it around. Now I gotta, if I flipped it around, now I have to dial indicate that in or something like that to get that oriented just right. But if I had this on the end, so this is the first end we did, the long end, let's say, I orient this really quickly against the mill table, let's say. So this is oriented properly, parallel with the mill table, and this was on top. All I have to do is flip this around, reorient this piece to the mill table real easy with a stack of blocks or something, or a adjustable parallel, or just about anything, and orient that to there, and now it's already clocked automatically for the keyway, and they'll be clocked the same. Now you could also use this to cut a hex. I could just clock that around and cut a hex, or in the case of the 1 inch piece here, we're going to cut a square around the end here, and we're going to use this. Now, he also makes a larger one, and this is I think up to 2 inches, and this one's up to 1 inch. Yeah, I think this one's up to 1 inch. I know I should have read the spec sheet, right? Well, I didn't, but yeah, this one's up to 1 inch, and then this one's up to 2 inches, and it's the same. It's a lot heavier duty. I mean, this is about a ½ an inch here, and these faces are about 5/16, but it has the hex and the octagon around here and a set screw. So if you had a bigger shaft that you wanted to orient, you could put this on there, do your keyway, or do whatever you're going to do. Put this on there and orient it, and then you can just flip your shaft around and reorient against this as a reference and put it in. Now these are very accurately made. These are called Rose Index. I was saying that these were made to a high level of accuracy. Now I couldn't not find that in the sheets that I received, but they are. They're made out of steel. They kind of a really nice black oxide type finish. Like it's not blued, but it was some other type of oxide finish. So you can, like I said, this is 1 to 2, and this is a 1/4 inch to 1 inch model, and so you can do a 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8 sided, or you could patterns, or you could use it even as a bolt hole indexing piece on the mill. If you had that mounted on there, yeah, there's a lot of uses, but the big one I see, the big one I like, is as an indexing feature for things that won't fit in a collet block. So that's what I see this being used as, especially on a long shaft, and that's where I'm going to use it. So we're going to go over and use these on the mill, and well, not the big one, the little one, and we're gonna give them a try and see how I like them and see how they perform. So let's go over there and take a look at it. So one other thing before I go to the mill, you can get Tim, the guy who invented these, sells them through Lake Shore Carbide. So their website is lakeshorecarbide.com. That's where you can find them. They're called Rose Index. If you want to look them up, I'll have a link in the description of the video, of course. So yeah, so check them out. Now I'm not getting paid to do this or anything. There's no compensation for this or anything. I was actually looking for a solution and type of thing, and along came Tim, and so we're going to try this out as a solution for what I wanted to do, and it's pretty cool. So these are made by Tim actually, but he sells them on Lake Shore Carbide. Anyway, so let's go to the mill now. So here's our shaft. And like I said, one end is going to be about 3 1/4, and the other end is a 2-inch key. And we'll do this so we line them up so that they're not clocked odd or anything. So let's see here. We'll just set this in the shaft. I just quickly drew some lines on there, which aren't even close, and we'll just hold it down in there. We'll get this end in position where we'll mill it at. There we go. So that's basically ready to go on this end for milling. Should have enough room. Just a 3/16 keyway. Now we'll put on our rose index out here. Now I'm going to put it out here. This part is going to stick out. It's 3 1/4 inches at least to mill this. So, we'll probably have almost 4 inches out. So we'll just kind of stick it out here somewhere where it's not going to be in the way. But we want it to clear the vise, and so it has to stick out a couple inches at least. So there, and I'm not going to tighten it up. Now, since I'm just going to not clock these in any directions, they're both going to be the same. All we have to do is square this up on the shaft. Various ways here I came up with. This is a 2-inch adjustable parallel, and I can actually make that fit up under there, and just hold it across on the table and leave that a little bit loose and square it up and tighten it. But other methods here, this is a Fireball tool 2-inch block, one of his magnetic setup blocks. I could throw that underneath there and then just use a small adjustable parallel and just loosen that, push that in there so that it's a little bit snug, and tighten it up. That works. Or even a planer gauge will work. So there's a planer gauge, and we just loosen that, reach in there, slide it up to the bottom, just a little bit loose, slide it up there, tighten it, and we're good to go. So there's 3 methods of lining that up. And we'll just snug it. It's good. It has a brass tip. Won't mar the work. We'll put a mill in. I want it to be a center line, of course. Just going to edge find the sides. We'll divide by 2, and we'll position right over the center. Then we just did the math with the DRO and bring it to 0 position, and we're good. Let's come down here. Now we're going to touch off until I see full contact of the end mill. All right, half the depth is about 93 thousandths. And I'm just using the dials, of course, on the mill. At 93 thousandths is a bit much for the end mill, so we'll go We'll go about 40 thousandths. And I'm going to use a little air to help keep the chips out of there. A little fast. This is just a high-speed end mill. Let's see. Oh yeah, perfect fit, and we should be right at the right depth. We'll scoot this down. We'll give this a try with the pulley. Now there's to be a little burr on there, so. Okay, I have enough room to slip this in there. Oh, yeah. There we go. Very nice fit. That's right. All right, we'll go, now we'll flip it around and we'll do the other end. There's the keyway. Flip that right around. Put that up to about where we need to be. Put a little tension on it. I'm going to take the planer gauge and we'll just kind of let's do it with the planer gauge now. We'll just loosen that up a little bit. Holding it down, it's just so I can move it a little bit, right? We'll just push the planer gauge up on there. That was easier than using the little small parallel. That was a lot easier using that. There. I think we're ready to mill it. See, now we're aligned. Now I can just take this off and we'll come in and mill it. Now I did not move the table in or out. It should be the same. So we're just going to come down. we go. Now, I tell you, those keyways are right on the money, looks like. Nice and lined up. So that worked really well. Made it very easy to flip around. I could have laid it in a T-slot, but indexing it I wouldn't have had to, because I could have, on this one, it's not so long as a table, and I could have just laid it in slot, milled it, went to the other end and milled it. It would have been quicker. But this is also a demonstration of the tool. Now, if I had a shaft that was longer than sticking out off the table and all that, it'd be absolutely a perfect thing to use to set things up. You could put it on there, align it to the table, flip the shaft around, and you'd have your indexing. So for this sort of thing, that's a very nice tool, very, very, very easy to use actually. So now let's do the other project. Okay, so this is project 2. I just want to put a square around this. Size really doesn't matter, but we'll probably make it look similar to this, not turned down, but just similar to that. And that is okay, so that's a weird size, 596 is whatever that is. I didn't do that, make that, but this was a drop from a friend of mine, and it was good metal, and I just turned it into a pin, but it was already square. It was a screwed up part. It just needs to, I just want it square so I can throw a crescent wrench on there. It doesn't extend through the vise, right? It's too short. So down in here I have a block set in there, and I have my stop flipped down so that that will index the length of the part, so it will always stick out the same. We'll just slide it in there against there. Now, where we started doesn't matter, it's round. I can just hold that in there, tighten it up. So what I'll do is I'm going to come in and mill a flat. I'll calculate a rough depth to get that rough same size. I'll mill the flat. Then I'm going to take the rose index. Now this is the 1 to 2 one, and I'm going to stick it on here like that. I'm going to take a square. So after I've milled that flat, I'm going to put the rose index on. I'm going to take a machinist square, roll it up there, and clamp that down and clamp that on. Now this is a fixturing device. This is not for holding the part to machine it or anything like that. It's a fixturing device, so you do not have to crank on this thing at all. Just up there, nice and square, snug it. Then I'll loosen this. I'll rotate it. Rotate the part. Tighten the vise. Take this off, mill the next flat, and then do the same each time to index it around. Like I said, the rose indexing tool, it's a fixturing device to measure from and orient something with. It's not to clamp in the vise to hold it. This is just one little set screw. Let me put an end mill in and we'll mill that first flat. Alright, you got a 4-flute roughing end mill in there, carbide one. This is a not really nice Niagara cutter. So we need to take off 200 thousandths, basically. We'll just come up and touch and That's one side. Now we'll index it. All right, we'll slip the rose index on there. I'm just going to tighten on that flat, which will be fine. Set this up there, square it up. Snug. Rotate it. We're ready to go. Now I'm not even going to measure this. I'm just going to use the index, and we're going to see how it all comes out. Get the chips out of there. That's Roscoe. Let me know he's out there. Got dark. I'm going to put it so the curved surface is against here. It seats better. It comes with different length set screws, so if you have a clearance issue or anything like that, or a real small part or something, but for the bigger one, I should say, the bigger one comes with different length sensors because of the such of the span. I think that's it. Well, it looks even. Let's measure them. See what they are. 589, 589, 590, 601, 600, 600 one way, about 10, about 9, well, yeah, measure about down here. Yeah, about 9 thousandths off. Well, that may be me, but that's pretty good. Not too bad. Now, if you could use a collet block, it'd be much faster, especially for the size, this size. But if something is long and sticking out your vise, then this tool, it would be great. For something that will fit in a collet block, it's much easier to just rotate your block, obviously, and keep going. And but like I said, if it sticks out past the vise and doesn't fit in the collet block, fantastic tool. Now there's many other uses. There's a short video. I'll put a link to the video about the tool in the description, and you can see them use it in a bunch of other fashions, I should say, other instances. But for this was, I mean, it worked perfect. Really, I mean, it worked great. So you should be maybe checking them out. Worked great for me, especially the keyway thing, especially on a long shaft on the keyway thing. That worked really nice. All right, analysis a little bit. So my keyways are very much in line. I have no problem with that. That came out just wonderful and worked great for a longer shaft. That was slick. Actually, it worked really good. I had no fear or that when I flipped it around, I was going to be square and aligned. So that worked out really well with the all the keyway project. And this here worked out. I deburred this a little bit better, and I'm going to measure this one now. This was done on a CNC machine, actually. So we got here 595, 596, 596. So it's pretty square, 596, pretty square. Well, even now, squareness, I did not check squareness on this. Let's say it's there. Well, that's checking it that way. There's no light, so that's a pretty square end. My sizing here, let's see, how did I come out? 595 and 598. So about 3 thousandths. I'm about 3 thousandths off there. Let's see, and but that is perfect square as far as with the square here. I mean, for a head of a bolt or something, it's pretty good. A little bit off of there. a little bit there, and pretty square there. So just a tiny bit off, but that's, could be, that was probably me, aligning it. And it was a short piece, so it's kind of hard to see in there, and stuff. But that's the feel thing, but it's pretty darn close. It'll be close enough for a bolt or a wrench or whatever. But that's for me. Now, if I was doing production work, I think I might want a little better lighting, or a little better view. But now for long parts, so now this was a short part, and I was up against a stop and all that. But for a longer part where it's sticking out of the vise, and you can have this on one end, especially a longer shaft, these are a fantastic idea, actually. So they are for, like I said, for fixturing, not for clamping with to machine. But this is a fantastic idea, especially for longer stuff. This here, since this would fit in a collet, would have been much faster with a collet, of course. But I wouldn't say necessarily any more accurate. But it might have been a little bit better. But I'm very happy with how it all came out and all that. So, yeah, for long stuff, these are ideal tool to have in your box here for a longer thing. So, I hope you can see the detail there. These are very nicely made, and they come with various set screws for lengths in case you have longer stock, so you don't have set screws sticking out too much. But very, very nicely done. And for the bigger one also. All engraved, patent pending, and part numbers. So if you haven't seen one of these, anyway, there you go. There's a pretty good, that was a pretty good little demonstration of what it's good for. Like I said, especially longer stuff, for sure. These are ideal tool to have in your box, I think. Very, very nice. Make sure you check them out on lakeshorecarbide.com, and I'll put the link to their website in the video description. And Timm Rosenthal made these, and he did a fantastic job. Very, very nice. So if you're interested in that stuff, check them out at lakeshorecarbide.com. Thank you, guys. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.